Hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. In this video tutorial, I will show you how to do SQL injection using SQLmap. Okay, let me show you the beginning, from the beginning. Okay, I have a Kali Linux here, right? I have a Kali Linux, and then on the setting, I put the system about 2 GB, okay? And then on the network, I enable the NAT and I enable the host only adapter. So these are the settings. Also, you may have to put this on the general advanced setting tab by bidirectional, so you can copy and paste, all right, from the VM, between VM to another VM. Okay, so this is my Kali Linux, okay, as my attacker machine. Let me show you the IP address of that, okay. The IP address of this is sudo ifconfig. So the IP address of my Kali Linux, which is attacker machine, is 192.168.56 and .107. This is my Kali Linux, alright? I also have another program which is Metasploitable, right? So if students have not installed the Metasploitable 2 or as a victim machine, be sure that they install this program, because we will use this as a target machine or a victim machine. The setting that I use is, I don't put a lot of memory here, like 512 megabyte, or the most is 1 gig of memory. The reason that if students put a lot of memory in the VM machine, it will slow down the VM significantly, especially if your PC does not have enough memory. Students may need to have at least 4 GB of RAM on their physical, in his or her physical PC, okay, in order to run this lab smoothly, okay. On the network, since I only use this as a victim machine, I only set up as a host only adapter, alright? So these are the setting of the VM, okay? Here I have my Metasploitable ready, okay? So when I do, okay, by the way, to log in is, the login and password for the Metasploitable 2 is msf admin and msf admin for the password. When I run the ifconfig, notice that my victim machine or my target machine is 56.107. Okay, so I have Kali 56.107, and then my Metasploitable is 56.106, right? Let me double check again. So here, oh, I'm sorry, my Metasploitable is 107 actually. This is 107, and then my Kali is 106. I get it reverse, okay? So this is 106. So this is the attacker, right? And this is the victim machine, okay? The target machine or the victim, okay? All right. So these are the settings for that, and then make sure you run this command, because I already set this up. So let me see. At the beginning, make sure that student run this. Let me see. You have to enable the Apache Okay, let me show you how to do this. Okay, this is how you enable the Apache web server. So on the Kali Linux, see if your Apache server service is running. So sudo service Apache 2 status. It was initially inactive or dead, so I need to turn it on. Okay, so when I turn it on, I use this command sudo service Apache 2 start, right? And then I verify again with Apache status, so make sure it is on, right? So this is my Apache. Once you turn on your Apache server service, and then you need to make sure your MySQL also run properly. So this is the command, right? Sudo service MySQL status. It was inactive, so I need to run it again. I need to enable it using sudo service MySQL start, and then you check the status. So let me see if I can copy and paste this one. Okay, I'm gonna copy this. See, so you need to check this. Oh, I cannot make copy of this. So number 2, you need to make your Apache 2 service status, right? Make sure you check that. And also you need to check your MySQL status. Make sure they are turned on. Okay. All right. So these are some of the command. Okay. Where is this? Here we go. Sudo service, right? Sudo service Apache, right? Yeah. Make sure you turn it on. Sudo service MySQL, right? Okay. So here I have number 3. Number three, I access this. Now I go to this website 192.168.56.107. This is my Metasploitable machine, right? So let me open again so students know this. 192.56.107, right? Okay. Notice that I have a DVWA here, right? DVWA, okay? Make sure that on the security, you need to put it as a low. If it is high, you need to put it on low because we only use this for experiment. So now, make sure your DVWA security is low, okay? That's number 3. That's number 3, okay? Alright? Okay, after that, you need to log in. The username is admin and the password is password. Admin and password, okay? Once you log into DVWA, you need to run a few commands here, right? For example, let me see that on the SQL injection bind, I'm going to run this one. Okay, number 1. When I do number 1, user ID 1, it gives you the admin, and then here user ID 2, you get the user ID number 2, and if I run this command 2, user ID 2 order by column 1, right? See if column 1 is exists. Yes, column 1 is exists, right? So now if we want to order 2 and running number 2, column number 2, see if column number 2 exists, right? Column number 2 exists. 2 and then apostrophe, what you call this, like a symbol here, 2. 2 apostrophe, order by column number 2, submit. See, that's still working. So let's do a union. 2, accent, apostrophe, union. Select 1, 2, and pound sign. See if we can do a union. Union means you combine together, okay? You combining in SQL. Okay, so now it's still working. Alright? So we do some testing here on the DVW, so the program is up and running. The next step, you need to go to the session ID, okay? You have to go to get the session ID because we want to do a SQL injection using SQLmap. Click here and then go to Web Developer, right? Web Developer, and go to Storage Inspector, right? Storage Inspector. Okay. From here, you have to refresh this, okay? Refresh this. You have to refresh this. No, I think Control Shift. Okay, we need to get this one first. I'm sorry. Let's go to the network here, right? Go to the network. Control Shift E, network, right? And then remember, we need to perform a request or reload to this page so we can get the detailed network activities. This is kind of very tricky because we need to get the session ID. Each time that you reload it or refresh it, it has a different session ID. Okay, so we need to have this session ID correctly, right? This is the session ID. Okay, right? Security equal to low, and this is the session ID, right? So what is the command to do the SQLmap? Okay, I already ran this earlier, so I just want to show it to you here. So when I run this command, let me see, where is my command here? Here is my command, right? Here, this is my command, alright? SQL -u, and then you need to get this URL address from where? This is, the URL address is from the here, right? This one. The URL address, you get it from there, right? So you copy and paste this, and run this, and copy and paste to this one, SQLmap _u, and copy and paste the URL there, right? And then you need to get the session ID or cookies. -- cookie equal, make sure you put double quotation here, and then you close the double quotation there. The session ID, you get it from here. Remember I mentioned to you, when you reload it, you get the session ID here. So you need to copy and paste this, right? Alright. So you need to put this, right? -- cookie equal to, and copy and paste the session ID. Make sure you type as it is. Also here, notice that I have a double quotation there. You need to open here and then close over there, right? Open here and close there. On the URL -u, you open here, double quotation, and you close there. Okay. The syntax is very important, right? So let me see. The syntax is very important, right? The syntax, and watch the typo. Okay. And also you need to watch the session ID. This is very important, because if we don't run this properly, if we do not type this comment properly, it will give you a different number, or it will give you an error message. Okay. All right. So let's move on to the next one, right? So we have this. So make sure student type this -dbs. That means we want to find out the database of the DVWA. -dbs, right? This is called database. Once student finish typing this, then you need to run this command, right? When student run this command, it takes a while, okay? And then we're gonna get a result, right? So what is the result? The result is, let me see, like I'm going to scroll it down. Here we go, right? Here is the result. So we have this database, right? We have MySQL, we have OWASP, we have DVWA. So this is what we are interested. So if when student run this lab, when student run this experiment in your home PC, if you did not find this, stop right. We need to troubleshoot that. Okay, we need to troubleshoot the problem. Okay, most of the problem that I myself experience is the syntax. If we don't type the syntax properly, then we cannot get the result that we want. Typo. Sometimes we have a typo. Make sure you know the difference between double quotation and a single quotation here, right? This is single quotation and double quotation, and the session ID. Okay, the session ID is very important, because if you don't get the session ID properly, right? If you don't get the session ID, remember how you do that? You need to go to file. You need to go. Oh, by the way, student need to use Firefox browser. Okay, remember, use Firefox browser. And then you go to web developer, right? Web developer, right? Then go to storage inspector. Then you go to where? Network, right? Make sure when they ask you to reload, you need to reload it, because you need to get the most current session ID. Okay? All right. Once student get the database information, right? The next thing is to obtain the table. How you run the table? Here, I'm running again the table, right? The table is SQL _u, which is the same thing. This is the same command that I ran earlier, but now I'm gonna put where is it? -d. -d is database DVWA. Earlier I have a typo. I put -- See? Notice that I also experienced some issues here. So if we do not type as it is or properly, we may get it, a different result. Okay, so I put -d, DVW, and -- table. So now we want to get the table. So what's the table here? So the table is this one, right? When we run that, we should have two tables. We have guestbook table and user tables, right? Guestbook table and user tables. All right. Once we find the table, right? Once we find the table, then we can find the column, right? See if we have a column, right? So the next thing I do is running the same command again, -d, DVWA, -t, users, and then -- columns. Now I'm gonna see the column, right? To find out the column. Now I find out that all of this table information, the column of that table, right? Of the users table. We have user, avatar, first name, and last name. Okay. So, finally, I show you how to do the SQL injection using SQLmap. Okay. How does the student get the SQL one, the SQLmap, you go to Kali, exploitation tools, and SQLmap, right? If you haven't updated for a long time, make sure you run an update, okay? Because if you don't run the latest update here, let me see, sudo apt get install SQLmap, right? Make sure you get this to the latest one. Okay, yes, I already have the newest one. As of this recording, January 21st, 2021, my SQLmap version is 1.4.11. Okay, so these are my latest ones. So be sure you get the latest update on this one, on the SQLmap. All right. So just to recap, right? Make sure that student have the IP address for the Kali, and also make sure you get the Metasploitable IP address. Setting this up so we can ready to run these experiments. Okay. Well, I hope that this video tutorial about SQL injection using SQLmap is helpful and beneficial to you. Thank you very much for watching. I will provide some of the documentation later on in the Blackboard. Okay? Thank you.